Hi there, evening, and I'm sure a lot of you watching the Bears game. It's a close game. We still have it, right? 7-13 right now. This is not a sports report, I promise. This is going to be our new series called Sunday Snapshot. It's been in the works for a while, but I want to have a more consistent time when we get to sit together and chat and we get to talk about the weather week ahead. So that's exactly what we're going to do in our Sunday Snapshot. We'll talk about the next couple days, big picture, and then we'll get you back to the Bears game. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back on the other side of this wonderful intro. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. It is Sunday evening. I am meteorologist Matt Wentz here, part of Region Weather. And I'll tell you, it has been a steamy last couple days around here because we are so close to this cold front that is just sitting off towards our north. And it doesn't look like much changes this week. So we'll start off our Sunday snapshot with the big picture. And the big picture across the country right now, we're dealing with a frontal boundary that's stuck just off towards our north. You can see we've had some pretty decent showers and thunderstorms just north of us across Michigan today. Those will continue to be severe as they move into areas of New York. But there's not much going on in Iowa, areas of Wisconsin. There's just not a lot of activity because the main forcing for this frontal system's way up near the Hudson Bay. So there's not a lot of reason for that air to lift. We'll still likely see some showers and thunderstorms breaking out in this zone tonight. But you notice all of that is north of our area. So that will lead us to more of the same, more heat around here. And that'll take us to our segment called The Week Ahead. And as we continue to move right along, I promised you these would be short and sweet, everybody. I want to take you through temperatures this week because you notice the difference right now. We've got near 90 degrees. We hit 89 today in Valpo. It was 88 in Crown Point. Many of us were well up into the 80s today. This heat's going to continue, but the cooler air is not far off. These were today's temperatures. You can see as we go through time tomorrow, as that frontal boundary sags down to the south just a little bit. We may get some late cooling, so likely low 80s from Gary over towards LaPorte, even Porter and Portage. Other than that, you get further inland, pretty much south of the Borman, we'll be dealing with temperatures up near 90 degrees once again, as that frontal boundary is just so close. As we get into Tuesday, you can see how the heat remains with us. Most of the cooler air still stuck up in the north woods of Wisconsin. That frontal boundary will still be ever present over the area. And then as we get on into your Wednesday, that is going to be the day of change as the cold front finally makes its way through. There's not a real big punch of cool air behind this, so we will settle back into more seasonable readings in the 70s to near 80 degrees on Wednesday. But that'll be part because we've got some rain and clouds around as well. But notice what happens later this week. That heat builds right back. We're talking temperatures up into the low to mid 80s on Friday, and then Friday afternoon and Saturday going to be warm as well. And you can see how that warmth just kind of sticks around, likely dealing with something tropical. That could be the remnants of Nicholas later on this week. But overall, we're dealing with obviously a warm week ahead. Average highs in the 70s now. Will be in the 80s for much of the week. I think Wednesday will be the cool day. In terms of precip chances, there's not a lot of rain coming the way this week. The reason why, we've got that frontal boundary to the north, and once it really gets going, I think it'll be either be overhead or east of us on Wednesday. So you can see as we go through time, most of the activity remains towards our north, much like it is tonight. And then Monday, we start to get a little push from this area low pressure up towards Wisconsin. That will not bring us rain on Monday. That will send this warm front north, keeping that warm air in here. It's Tuesday night on into Wednesday that low pressure goes by. It finally gets attached to some Gulf of Mexico moisture, but it looks like it's going to be either right on time or too late. You can see this is late on Tuesday now. We're dealing with showers and thunderstorms that develop along that front, but they could be either right over the area or east of here. There's not going to be a lot moving in. It'd either be popping on us late day Tuesday and lasting through Wednesday morning, or it'll be out of here. We won't see any rain at all. But you can notice the trend is that moisture heads down to the south, and we may get out of this front this week without a lot of precip around in general before our next system begins to move in after that. So certainly a dry week overall and a hot week out ahead of us as it looks right now. The thing I like to look at the most is the long range forecasts. There's some pretty interesting changes taking place, so let's talk about that. So it's fall almost, right? It'll be fall in a couple days. And it's really interesting. I've been looking the last couple weeks at the snowpack getting laid down in northern Canada, and it's coming pretty far south right now. That is where our cold air sources come from, but it's pretty interesting to see how far south some of this is making it and how early it is. We've had near record North American snowfall the last couple falls. This is up in Canada mainly, right? We don't typically deal with that, but it'll be interesting to see the next month or so how this kind of plays out. So this map we're looking at when we go long range, I'm going to take you all the way through the end of September in terms of this is your jet stream pattern. So the blues, we made this easy on you. Those are the areas of cooler air aloft up in the atmosphere. And the reds, the darker they get, the warmer it is aloft. So you look at the pattern. This is where we are right now. We've got still decent heating across the lower 48. You've got these little cold spells up in northern Canada that kind of waffle their way through as we go throughout, the next couple days. But all in all, we remain, fairly warm across the lower 48. It's really next week that things start to turn a little bit more interesting, and guidance has been kind of consistent on this. You can see a big warm up perhaps heading on into next weekend for us locally and the eastern half of the country. But look at all this cool air up in Canada. This is going to lay down some snow up in the northern provinces of Canada. Where do you expect it for this time of year, right? But watch how the cold air kind of spills off of that into the following week. We get a little lobe of cool air in here, maybe, right? This is long range, but that would be a nice taste of fall. Maybe 60s for highs around here if that were to hold true. And then you can see as we go beyond in that week, we get a pretty decent cold snap here. This would be like 40s and 50s in the area, and this would be late September, so like the 25th. And you can see how that kind of lasts. And we're really turning that map on the colder side of things, and that would happen, obviously a couple weeks out, but still, it certainly is interesting to see the change of the seasons around here and to see how that's taking place off towards our north. Some of you want cool air. I get it. Some of us don't want the cool air because we know what follows that. So I get that too. I'm just a messenger here, but it's certainly laying down the tracks off towards the north. Last thing I want to show you here, then I'd be happy to answer any questions. We can chat for a little bit. This is your North American snow cover over the next 2 weeks. And you can see how we are starting to get some snow in the Rocky Mountains out towards the west. A lot of areas of Canada, especially Western Canada, getting some pretty heavy snow in those mountains. Vancouver, my wife's a big Hallmark TV channel viewer, and all the movies there I think are filmed in Vancouver. As it seems they're going to get some nice winter Christmas movies filmed out there over the next couple of weeks with all that snow. So certainly interesting. I know a lot of you don't like to talk about snow, and we don't have to talk about it anymore, but that's what we're dealing with over the next couple of weeks. So I hope that helps. I wanted this to be short and sweet, and I want us to meet every Sunday night just to kind of chat it out. That way you can get your weather questions answered, and then tonight with the Bears being on, obviously that's a big deal. We can have weather and sports. I mean, does it get any better than this? So I want to say hi to everyone that's joined us tonight. Abigail, good evening to you. Derek's talking about severe weather on Tuesday. Derek, it's really interesting on Tuesday because the system's going to kind of come together right over us. So does it spark storms over us, or does that happen east of us? We should have a good idea tomorrow on the timing of that front, because it's really down to the hour that it goes through in terms of that. But yeah, late Tuesday, we do have a threat for some stronger storms with that front, and that would linger into Tuesday night. I think it'll be out of here by Wednesday. Debbie asks, when can I shut my air off? Debbie, probably not until October, to be honest. We tend to have some really warm days around here, late September, even October. We've had some 80s to near 90-degree days. So you'll be able to shut it off, at least temporarily, hopefully later this week. I'm talking like later this week. But again, that warm air is going to be so close to us. So we're right on this line of, do we get a little hint of fall, or does it stay summer? And it kind of looks like it's going to stay summer, but we'll stay optimistic on that cooler air. Let's see. Yeah, AJ says Valpo hasn't had more than a sprinkle in almost a month. We really have escaped a lot of these storms recently. I think last time we joined each other, we were watching that line come in, and it did the Northwest Indiana split. Newton, Jasper County got a ton of heavy rain from that. Meanwhile, our northern counties haven't seen anything. It's been kind of feast or famine in terms of the rainfall this year. Jennifer, I'm done with the heat. I want fall temperatures. Jennifer, I feel you. That's the beauty of Northwest Indiana weather, is that we kind of forget what the next season's like, right? I mean, can you imagine it being snowy outside and cold? And then in the winter, we can't imagine it being summer. So kind of neat. Derek asked, what weather models do I use? I use a whole bunch of them, right? But I tend to lean Euro on things. Short term, I like the national blend of models. That's kind of a newer model that takes a bunch of other models, puts it together, and gives you the averages. I like that for my temps when I do my forecasting, but Derek, it kind of goes back and forth. Sometimes the GFS American model is behaving better. It's been more accurate over the last couple of weeks, whereas some patterns it doesn't understand. So I'll even lead in the Canadian model sometimes. So it varies. I definitely look at all of them every day and consider that in my forecast. Debbie, I know you're not liking the heat. I'm sorry. I know it really has dried out recently. Debbie asked a really good question. Will fall colors be vivid? I heard they will not be. Debbie, usually, listen, it depends on a couple things. There's so many factors in it. It depends on how much moisture we've had over the recent months, right? So was it a dry summer? Was it a wet summer? We tend to get more vivid colors when we have a pretty wet summer, which we haven't had. So that's probably why you're hearing that we're not going to have great fall color this year, because it's just been so dry. But it also has a lot to do with how we transition to fall. So do we get those cool nights and then the warm sunny days? That's what really trips the photosynthesis process in trees, which brings out its actual color, which the fall colors that you see, that's the actual color of the leaf, right? The chlorophyll good fall color kind of season, but we'll see what happens next couple weeks. We get a couple cool snaps. I think we'd be okay. Brooke asking, are we expecting severe weather Tuesday? Brooke, we're right on the line for it. I don't think it's a slam dunk event. There's going to be a front that moves through. It just depends on when the storms pop. But again, late Tuesday is going to be the time frame to watch right now. And it's not a for sure event right now. Some of the models develop it east of us, some develop it on us, and that's not severe. So we should have a pretty good idea of how that's going to behave tomorrow for Tuesday, if that makes sense. Janelle, like the Long Ranger. I try to come up with these interesting segments just to keep it flowing. So I'm glad you appreciate that for sure. Debbie says severe storms seem to be happening on Tuesdays for a couple of weeks. Debbie, that's interesting. These frontal boundaries do tend to line up the same day every single week. And that happens in the winter too, where we get snow on certain days every week, just because the pattern's like a 7-day pattern. So that'll be interesting to see if that's what happens this time. All right, I think that's it. Hi, Mary. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for stopping in. Again, I want to keep these short and sweet, but we're going to meet every Sunday evening, if that's okay, just to kind of talk about the weather week ahead. So in summary, what we're dealing with is a pretty warm week ahead. It's going to stay upper 80s to near 90 the next 2 days. Tuesdays today, we watch for some storms late day. That'll bring a front in that will cool us down on Wednesday when Debbie can turn her air off for a day. And then all indication is we heat back up late this week on into next weekend, likely mid and upper 80s again. We'll see if that pattern holds. Some of the models saying that that's not going to happen, but I think we're going to have a warm end to the week. And in terms of rainfall chances, that Tuesday evening, Wednesday, we'll see if that front lingers down to our south. Those are really the 2 days we have to watch. Otherwise, we are going to be dry. All right. Dee, thanks for joining us late. You're not late. You can rewatch this on our Facebook page, so you'll be okay, or YouTube if you're joining us on YouTube. All right, everybody, have a wonderful night. We'll see you next Sunday, and if we have some storms on Tuesday, we'll see you then, okay? All right, talk to you soon.